Now, you guys may or may not have heard about this one. Did you guys hear about this controversy that blew up about Anthem Blue Cross in covering anesthesia?
The only reason I saw anything about it is because of that the housewife girl that was on here. She made a comment about it.
Oh, she did. Oh, right, because she's an anesthesiologist,
yeah,
right?
I saw.
Yeah,
I saw a thing about it.
You did? Okay, Trey, did you hear about this one?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So I'm going to break this one down for you. People were actually asking me about this, and I know a little bit about it because anesthesia, obviously I'm not an anesthesiologist, but I'm a surgeon, and we work with anesthesiologists all the time. So there's a big buzz on social media this past couple weeks because Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, specifically which represents Connecticut, New York, and Missouri, said that they would no longer, they said this last month, they would no longer pay for the extra anesthesia time in the surgery, meaning if surgery is supposed to last 3 hours and it goes past that, then anesthesia would bill for that time after, and up to this point, the private insurances would pay some part of that for the extra anesthesia time. And Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield said, hey, we're not going to do that anymore, meaning we're going to pay you per procedure, not for time, all right? And after this happens, the American Society of Anesthesiologists went on the offensive. They put a post up, throw it up there. This is just the title of it, so you can look it up if you want to see it. This is from the American Association of Anesthesiologists. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield won't pay for the complete duration of anesthesia for patient surgical procedures. They went on to just basically lambast these people and say that they were more or less killing people.
And then like, I guess this is kind of on topic, but then that guy that's a CEO of a health insurance company.
Yeah, that's a completely different. I thought about doing that one, but it was kind of morbid. Obviously, everyone's heard about the CEO that got shot. I mean, this is not related to that.
But I think it's funny because it was just that title. It said another way insurance is like costing patients or something affecting patients.
Yeah, like the article that the
like
Americans.
There's some kind of like evil villains.
Right.
Or something.
Well, exactly, and so that's exactly my point, Sarah. Is that when Blue Cross, announced this, the anesthesiologist group, who their lobby is actually fantastic,
well, it's a really good profession, one.
It is, and they're very cohesive, these guys. They're like a gang, man. Like, surgeons are not like a gang. Like, we don't gang together. We're just fighting between each other. We're like tribal people, like, fighting while anesthesiologists like the Roman army. Like, these guys are together. And they went on the offensive, and it worked because they know that the American populace really, if one thing the American populace can agree on is we hate insurance companies. I don't like insurance companies. I'm sure you don't. No one does. Who likes the insurance companies? No one. And so they went on the offensive, and they said that this is a terrible thing, and it got picked up on social media. And then all of a sudden this last week, all I saw on my feed was literally everyone saying, oh, this is terrible, and surgeons are like, I'm going to have to wake my patient up before I can finish the surgery.
What?
And honestly, a lot of it was just really sensational.
Dramatic.
It was just kind of over the top. So I want to break it down in a very neutral kind of way because I'm kind of neutral about this one, to be honest. I certainly was not the person that was saying, oh, this is the worst thing ever. And let me tell you why. This was aimed to prevent anesthesia overbilling, which is what I said, where anesthesiologists will send a second bill after the initial bill has been sent out. And this is an issue. No one wants to talk about it, but this is an issue. It happens to my own patients, where our patients will get second bills from the anesthesiologist. Now, we have a deal with our group, and I love my group. I'm not at all dogging them at all because they're cool. If one of my patients gets a second bill, we say, look, this is what we negotiated, and they will cancel that. But the group I work with is not every group in the country, and other people are going after more money. And that's what they were trying to stop. And let me be clear that this method of paying for procedure is what Medicare does. Medicare, which is considered one of the gold standards by some people of how, healthcare should run. I mean, that's totally debatable. But Medicare pays by procedure. They don't pay by time.
Yeah.
This is a private insurance thing. And so I'm a little bit on the fence about it because when I do a surgery, say I do a surgery, I'm going to stay in the realm of plastic surgery with insurance. I mean, when I did general surgery, it was much, much more of a thing. But say I do a breast reduction surgery, I mean, that surgery could take me 3 hours or it could take me 5 hours.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends on the individual patient.
That's like hard to tell, like say.
I can generally tell, but the point being that I get paid the same whether it takes me 3 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
If it takes me normally 3 hours to do something, but it takes me 5 because it's a hard case, I don't bill the patient. I don't send the insurance another bill. I don't ask the patient for more money.
Yeah.
So why would an anesthesiologist do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, just playing devil's advocate. You know, I'm playing devil's advocate. Also, too, if that patient has a complication and I have to take them back to surgery, I, as a surgeon, don't get paid for that. I get nothing. Anesthesiologist gets paid. So it's like, okay, well, here I am as a surgeon looking at this, and I'm like, okay, but this is how I get paid. I mean, I don't get paid if cases go long. And some people will say, well, that's out of the anesthesiologist's control because they're not a surgeon. Well, it's out of our control. You know, unless you make a mistake, which with a good surgeon's not going to happen. If a case goes long, it's because it was a hard case. So playing devil's advocate, I was just kind of like, you know. I mean, on the one hand, there's a group of doctors getting squeezed, which is what's happening. The anesthesiology groups are getting squeezed by the insurance, or they were attempting to do it. And I'm like, well, okay, but I mean, that's what I'm dealing with. So it's like, am I going to like fight over this? No, I personally am not. Of course, they're going to fight for it because that's money out of their pocket. So, yeah, I think that this is more, you know, I think a more neutral discussion than the sensationalism that we saw on social media the past week. It was kind of like ridiculous, honestly, what people were saying. And I would just be like, yeah, but that's how we get paid. Like surgeons were talking about it. So anyway, but the end of the story is that because of this social media backlash, Blue Cross backed down.
Really? So it's done?
They backed down. It's over. Yeah, as of day before yesterday, they backed down. And so, you know, I want to applaud the anesthesiologists. They basically banded together and started this firestorm about this, you know, kind of very random sub-billing thing and made it this huge ordeal, which it's really not. I mean, the amount of money that they probably make for that is probably just a small percentage of their total income. And you know, it's just like anything. If they got squeezed out of that, they'd figure out another way. I mean, just recently, our anesthesia group started billing our surgery center per day, you know, to make up income. And it's like, well, okay, it's just the price of doing business.
Right.
So, you know, people make up money, but it was just interesting how it all played out. And you know, I'm definitely not on the insurance company's side pretty much on anything, but I do think this was more of it's kind of like
you can see it from both sides.
I can see it from both sides. You know, I mean, overbilling is a problem. You know, not with every group, but with some groups. And you know, and there's every specialty that potentially will find ways to squeeze more money out of. You know, everyone's trying to squeeze more money out of the turnip, and the turnip is really kind of squished at this point. So, but that's basically what went down. Yeah. So I think it's interesting to know, you know, because you see stuff on social media and it's like, what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, and this stuff didn't apply in Texas.
No, it didn't apply in Texas at all. Yeah. Of course, it could essentially set a precedence, right? If Blue Cross does this in those 3 states and they manage to pull it off, then other Blue Crosses would definitely take note.
Company-wide.
You know, and it might get bigger. So that's why it's like, oh wow, this is, you know, slippery slope. Yeah. So anesthesia group was like,
so they were like, we're gonna throw up.
They threw up the shields and threw down the spears and like, absolutely not. And I applaud them, man. I mean, if there's one thing that you can get people riled up behind, it's behind hating an insurance company. I mean, that's facts. Yeah. And so anyway, all right. I think that's all the time we got. Anything else to add, Travis, Trey?
I don't personally.
No, Sarah, we done? Is this it?
Yeah.
All right. I think we had a good one today. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for the comments, you people out there. We love you. Please come back and comment again. Let us know what you want to talk about. And we'll be back next week on Nip Talk.
Bye.
Bye.